Okay, and we're back in part 2 of using our bridge tool. We're going to add another bar here, and let's go to edge. In this one, we're just going to make a default following our same pattern here. I'm going to skip a space, select the faces, hit delete to make open edges, double click, hold shift, double click. Go to our bridge. We'll use a linear path here and just apply. And let's go to our next one, and we'll start to get a little bit more detail going on here. Let's select those two faces, delete them, and grab those edges. And we're going to add our standard bridge. And then in either the channel box or the attribute editor, we'll go in and make some changes. I'm going to change my curve type to blend. I'm going to add that 720 twist with 20 divisions. Then I'm going to scroll down, and below here we have the taper curve attributes. So I could just use the slider, and that will taper the dimensions of the bridge going across the length of that. But I'm going to leave that at 1, and instead what we can do is add more detail by using our graph that we have here. Now on this graph, we're allowed to add individual keys. Notice I can just click and drop a key somewhere in between here, and that will affect the shape or the taper of the length of that bridge. So I'm going to set my first key. Let's grab this guy here and let's drop it down to 0.5. And I can type in the value if I need to as well. And let's grab this key right here. And I'll move that out to a position of 0.4. And I'm going to add another one here. I'm going to drop that at 0.6. And let's just set these both here. I'm going to set those to 0.5 just for the time being. And let's add another key right here in the middle at 0.5. And I'm going to raise this up. And this will create just a little bit of a bubble inside of there. But I want that to be larger. Well, what we can do is exceed the selected value. Right now it's at 1. I want it to be larger. We just can type in a value right there. And I'm going to type in 2. And now we get more of a knot kind of going through twisting effect. Let's go ahead and add another bar. And this will just be another default, just to make it look like we've got some type of pattern happening here. Go to Edit Mesh, and we'll just choose Bridge. Let's do that. Now for this next one, I need to change the actual creation defaults, and those are going to be the options in the tool itself prior to creating the actual bridge. So let's go to Edit Mesh, Bridge, and open the options here. What I want to do is change this to Smooth Path plus Curve. Now we cannot do this one after the fact. This is one we want to do prior, because when we create this, it's actually going to create an additional curve that will allow us to have more control over that bridge. When we do it after the fact, that curve is not going to get generated. So we want to do this prior to actually creating that bridge. So we'll choose Bridge. And I'm going to go to Wireframe, and you can see right down the middle there is a curve. And I'll be able to manipulate that curve. But let's make this a little fancy here first. I'm going to add 20 divisions, and we'll give it a twist of 720. And let's just hike up that smoothing angle. And I'm going to taper the curve all the way across there to 0.5. Okay, so now we get a rather thin looking bridge in between there. And now I'm going to switch back to object mode, and let's turn on our polygon mask so we can no longer select any polygon objects. And then I'll click there in the center, which will allow me to select that curve. I'm going to hit F8. That will put me into a component mode. And then I can grab the CVs of that curve and pull them out. So I'm going to pull that one over a little bit. I'm going to use my arrow keys to walk down a little bit. And let's slide that one over there. And we'll move this one back just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of shape. And it looks like our normals are a little off there. So let's turn our selection mask back on there so we can select our polygons. And we'll select our spirals, normals, heart and edge. And so now we add just a nice little bend to our bridge. So we can take a curve and use that to manipulate that bridge, and we can push and pull those control vertices to get lots of different types of shapes there. And let's go ahead and clean this guy up too while we're at it. And we'll select all of those faces. And we'll soften those edges. And let's grab just those spirals, and we'll make those hard so that this guy matches the rest of the bridge lengths that we have going through there. There we go. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's add, real quick here, let's add 2 more default bars. Go to edge. And I'm going to add a bridge here. I want to go back to my bridge tool, go back to linear path, choose apply, and I'll just hit G to reapply that again, just to get our basic bars. And now the next one, we're going to make this one our big finale here. Let's select 4 of those, and we'll select 4 on bottom and delete those faces. And I'm going to select my edges. I'm going to grab that edge loop and that edge loop. Okay, and let's add a bridge. Now I added the bridge, and it's going to create that linear path because our curve type is linear. Basically now it's sandwiching all of our geometry together. Not what we want. I want to change that curve type to blend. And now I get a nice little bubble effect coming out of there. Let's change those divisions to 6. I'm going to do the same thing for all the other ones. We'll do that. I'm going to hit G, blend, and 6. Select the bottom. Okay. And let's go back. Let's change our bridge options. We'll give that a divisions of 6 with a smooth path and do bridge. And then now with those options saved, I can just hit G and it will repeat that exact same command. Let's keep going here. Let's select the middle face of each of our archways there and delete those faces. And we're going to get really super crazy here this time and select 2 opposing edge loops. And we'll choose smooth path plus curve, bridge that one together. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. I have those settings already saved. I can just hit G. Now they're penetrating each other, but remember, we have a curve in the middle there. So I'm going to go to wireframe and let's select our first curve, and we'll go to, let's hit F8, that's easier. And we'll use our control vertices. I'm going to select those 2 there, and we'll push this one back. And then we'll select the 2 control vertices on the other curve and pull that one out. That way, now they're no longer intersecting. And we get a nice little shape going through there. Those are the many uses of our bridge tool. We can create some really complex shapes by bridging from one section of our geometry to the other, and then using our taper or our twist. Or for something even a little bit more dynamic, we can add a curve and then shape the curve to give us a nice, interesting shape to our bridge.